This week on Not Just Another Sex Podcast. Hitting the five senses goes so much farther than people think, but on the other end, taking away one of those senses or adding it in another way, like blindfolding someone.
Yes.
So now all your other senses are heightened.
You got to understand that the brain is the biggest sexual organ that we have. When that mind is stimulated, when it's going, when it's riled up, it can really add to the physical experience that you have. And that's what people take for granted. You know, they always think it's about what toy do I buy, what angle, what position, no, like how about you start by
play with your imagination.
Play with your imagination and then have that person join in with you on that.
Hey, sugar. I feel like there are so many different things that I need to learn as an adult. I'm this nasty on a regular day, like on a Tuesday. I am your host, Samia Burton, and don't worry, it's not just another sex podcast. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Not Just Another Sex Podcast. My name is Samia Burton, and I am your host. And I'm super excited. Today, we have an amazing conversation and a guest. But first, before we get into that, I want to make sure that we start off the episode with an adult tip of the day. The adult tip of the day is something that we added to the show because I feel like there are so many different things that I need to learn as an adult. From therapy to, oh, you need to hire this for your house or do this, like little tips and tricks and things like that. And this is where we're always going to throw that stuff in. And so sometimes it can range to some super deep shit, and sometimes it could be really surface level. If you have any that you want to submit to us, make sure that you DM it to me. But today's adult tip of the day is all healing is not found in the church. And I know that sometimes that may be a little sensitive area for some people, but especially for me, in my healing journey as an adult, as a mom, as a woman who has experienced sexual trauma and, like everyone else, some sort of trauma in your life and difficulty, I have found that all of my answers have not been found in the church, especially being Black. You know, being Black, you go to church and you be like, what I'm supposed to do? And there's still people that's like, oh, you need to pray this and pray that and things like that. But you need to use your resources. And specifically, this adult tip of the day is because some of the healing that you're looking for is outside of the box. It's not necessarily just therapy. It might be something that you've never even thought of doing before. But before you down it, make sure that you down it. Before you say it's not for you, if you are looking for healing and you feel like you've been doing everything right, your answer may be lying in an unconventional approach out there. So the adult tip of the day is that all healing is not found in the church. So, yes. So, today, our guest is none other than the most infamous pleasure coach, Sir Marvelous himself. Hello. I feel like there should be like applause. I need to record in a live audience, but yes, this is what the applause
Very
is.
soon, trust me. Yes. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is long overdue. I'm excited to be here working with you.
It is. Look here, I'm not fighting the world no more because when the world slap, that bitch ain't no light hit. And so I'm just doing what I need to do now. And
walking your purpose.
Yes, in my purpose. How many times have I told you that? Like, no, you need to stick to your, and I got off, but here I am. And so I'm glad that you're here with me. Yes. The journey continues.
We're gonna open
How
this
are you
up
today?
Here, I'm feeling amazing, feeling a little stuffed, you know, being with the holiday just passing.
I understand.
Been
those
working
extra
out.
Pounds. So we're going to start off our next segment, which is Twitter Talk. Despite all the things that have happened with Twitter, I decided to still add this to the segment because Twitter has been around forever and a lot of great conversations, a lot of outcomes have come from Twitter and Black Twitter and how amazing that and influential it has been. And so even if you've seen it on TikTok or seen it on Instagram, most likely it started from Twitter. So, and also Twitter is a place where you can get something really deep and profound, or you can see something super deep and can't pull your phone out in the grocery store. It don't have no in between. So today's Twitter Talk conversation is that a threesome with two men and one woman is not a train. That is today's Twitter Talk. You know how I feel about this topic. But for those who don't know, I have this fantasy of having a male-male, female threesome. Hold space for booze and throwing tomatoes, and that's fine. But my fantasy has never been like that train You know what I mean? That trained look.
Right.
But even if it was, I really wanted to just kind of shed some light that even if a woman does want to train, like there's still nothing wrong with that. Even if it's 3 people, it's still.
Well, I'm a little biased because the MFM is my actual favorite type of threesome.
MFM, y'all. That's male. M is for male. F is
Male,
for female. You do the math.
Male, where the female is actually the center of attention for the 2 men. It's something about being the center of attention for more than one person that knows how to love on you correctly that is so fucking sexy. And I feel like it's such a double standard when it comes to what men are allowed to do as far as experiencing pleasure that women aren't. If I were to go to Vegas and tell my boys, I had 5 beautiful women, in a 5-star hotel, they was just all taking turns on me. Oh my God, it was crazy. I didn't even get no sleep. I would be the absolute man, and if a woman were to even dare say she had 2 men that were consensual, that were sexy, that were sensual, just taking turns pleasing her, all of a sudden, she's the talk of the town, and it's just, it's completely fucked up.
Absolutely. I think that, and we're going to get into this, how sometimes our kinks are attached, to some of the things that we like and trauma and things that have happened in the past. But I think threesomes are really great if people are consenting to them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's so crazy that a lot of the people that really talk shit about this topic, because it comes up so much, I guess we can't fight it, is that it's terrible because that's not what you're consenting to, which therefore makes it not your business.
Absolutely.
But also, even as a woman, even if you do have a fantasy of something more aggressive, I think that it's a fantasy because I don't think that we believe that we can really find 2 men that are willing to not hurt you and have sex with you together and it be the way that you want. I think that we want true consent, which is like, hey, I want to experience this, and, find someone that doesn't think like I'm terrible or disgusting or what, like, you could say no without all that, like but I think that that's something that really has to be discussed in a deeper way, and I think it has more to do within the sex and 2 men. I think it has to do with, you don't think that, like, a lot of men think that you're less of a woman or you're nasty, but at the same time, plenty of women are experiencing these things without consent. Absolutely. And no one is that loud. No one is that loud about women that are, raped in that type of sense and things like that. But if you consensually say you want to do something, there isn't a crazy amount of uproar.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, keep that same energy.
Keep that same energy.
Keep that same energy.
I'm like, again, I'm a little biased. If we talk about just like you said, we have the sensual side of that type of threesome, and then we got the, like, it's nothing wrong with wanting to be slutted out consensually.
Some women do. They want the DP. They want they do want the train. Like, they want that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And you know what's so crazy is that I've watched the category on porn that's more like aggressive. It doesn't necessarily do anything for me, but I have met some men that have an aggressive side
that you was like, if I could,
that I was like, oh no, I might like it depends, but I think that because it's such a traumatic topic for me, like in that aggressive sense, that I haven't really allowed myself to be okay with that. I think the central side is where I'm like, okay, this is where I'm okay with it. But I think that that's the thing. If a woman has a fantasy of something that's dangerous, she should be able to go to her man or go to someone that she trusts and is like, I really want to do this. I know this is super dangerous. It's just like even the break-in, like acting.
The CNC.
Yeah, like all those different topics where it's like, this is aggressive though, but it's like they want to do it. They're just role-playing in a sense.
Absolutely.
It's role-playing.
You know what I mean? There are ways to get things done that we fantasize about that are more practical than you could ever imagine, especially when you put that communication into the equation, of course, talking it out and then having ways to communicate throughout that particular experience.
To make sure that everybody's okay. And
exactly.
Things like that.
So, the last thing I would say to that is, if I want to be completely like blunt about it, a lot of the times women don't even get to experience the pleasure that they can or the maximum amount of pleasure when it comes to dealing with one man anyway. For
we
many different
have
reasons.
Time. We already know
reasons, so you already know. Maybe you might need another guy to help because you cannot outfuck a woman when she's enjoying herself.
Absolutely not.
So,
when pussy gets started, it ain't no calming it down.
Yeah,
like once pussy gets started up, you get revved up. Like pussy be a whole nother one. But we're gonna get into that. Hey, you guys, it's your host Samia. And for those of you who didn't know, I'm also the CEO and founder of Sexual Essentials. One of my favorite parts about building that brand was creating a learning platform that has over 250 workshops, interviews, and so much more. Some of my favorite components are the sex position demos. Yes, you heard that right. Demos. They're featuring some people that you may already know. Good Moms Bad Choices has demonstrated some positions for us, as well as Dara. You remember her from our first episode. Those are some of my faves, as well as the lingam and yoni massages. These are great additions to add to your oral loving for your partner. Yes, I said oral loving. I'm trying to keep it clean, guys. Anyways, they are great additions and a great way to spice things up. Outside of our masterclasses, add one of these on to your normal routine and really wow your partner. Click the link below or in any of the links in our bio and sign up for our courses today. All right, now back to the show.
Gotcha.
So, because we have such an amazing guest today, this conversation is going to go to a lot of different places. So let's just start off with what it is that you do.
Okay. Well, I was just speaking to you before this. I'm actually rebranding myself from being known as a professional dominant to being more of a pleasure coach that studies the way of kink and BDSM, basically meaning that that's what I want to teach people as far as exploring the pleasurable side or more pleasurable sides of sex and things of that nature. So I definitely practice BDSM. I love showing people the sensual side of it, really chopping at the misconceptions that a lot of people have when it comes to BDSM, them thinking it's white people shit or abusive or it's all about pain and degradation. It doesn't always have to be about that. In most cases, most people don't enjoy that, but there is a time and place for that, if you know what I mean, right?
Absolutely.
So
funny enough, I have had a session with Sir Marvelous. And it was pretty extraordinary, if I do say so myself. So my experience. What did I book? What did I get?
I'm ready for more.
I got the I'm ready for more package. First of all, you owe me some draws. That's you owe me some draws. Those were Savage Fenty, and I would like the whole set because they don't make those that penny anymore. It came in a set. Okay, I would wait for that. But when I went and did this session, you guys, I had only had, I think, one session. I think I had my session with Dash already before that, and I had a session with King Hef. And so my session with King Hef was strictly just impact play and really me getting comfortable with that. And then my session with Sir Marvelous was more so adding the orgasm in there. So like he doesn't have sex with his clients, but you do go through like some impact play and sensuality and massaging.
Yes.
And then it does have that good old happy ending that, you know, you paid all this extra money for, with like toys and things like that. So of course, safety and, you know, consent, and although like it starts off that way.
Right.
But even looking back at it now, I even realized like how closed off I was because you were a man.
Yes, yes.
And I was like, nigga, I run this show. Like the fuck. like with Dash, I let her, do her job, right? And with some of us, I was like, I don't like that, and I don't like to cuddle either. Like I don't like, you know what I mean? Because it's like it's a man. Like you hella cool, but now we talking about like we in the same industry, and you about to look at my coochie. And so I was. You know, I was really nervous, you know.
Did you eventually open up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Why? This is another dope episode, y'all. So, it was really amazing, though. It was really good. I know I gave you like some things that I thought like you could improve on. What is your favorite part of the massage? For you,
my favorite.
Actually, fuck all them other people. Your favorite part of the massage with me, because I actually did this.
You know I love your ass. You know I love your ass. Absolutely. When you was on that table, when you face down, and I was just like, just teasing and just pushing all that blood to your ass and to your pussy and stuff. I was like, oh.
See, that be the part. And see, this is why I don't be wanting to book shit, because I'm like, I work with these people. Like I, you know, I've never had sex with anybody in any of our colleagues.
Nice.
None. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you know me. I'm always a mind game type. Like, not mind game as in being toxic, y'all. Not that type. Not no more. But as far as like the sapiosexual like teasing part, there's a part of me that feels like I don't want to sleep with anybody in this field. But it's sometimes it's difficult because we have a lot of common, like a lot of things in common and people that actually understand your life. And it's almost like when celebrities date other celebrities.
Yeah, you just think because they understand you better. And to some extent, there's going to be some pros to that. But, there's no only positive side to any relationship, right? But I love the energy of the people, my colleagues in sex work, because it's something about that flirty energy where, again, we haven't actually had sex, so you're just imagining it. You might even fantasize about it in some cases and things of that nature. That is really, really like intoxicating, to say the least. That chemistry.
I did masturbate to you and Siphon once. Y'all, like, let me get some background. He had sent me a video asking me to see. It's not. I'm not explaining it well. I've never had sex with this man, y'all. But I mean, I'm very open, like, with what things make me feel. Yeah. For sure. Because also I feel like I can't recommend you to someone else if I don't have anything to recommend. Yeah, absolutely. Like, so Sir Marvelous was also a performer at the art exhibit. The art exhibit is a live sex art show that Sexual Essentials and my SE Media Group puts on. And this year was the second one. So he's performed twice, and it was really, really amazing. Super amazing. People said this year you were their favorite as well.
Oh, thank you.
The votes went around. But there were definitely people that said that.
This one was off the chain. You know what's so crazy? Every time that you do something, anything you do, I'm like, watch how much better it will get. And this was amazing. Because I know this is like just a fragment of your imagination. You know what I mean?
It's so crazy. So having to like scale myself like and do it in the right timing is really hard because I'm super impatient. But this year I was like, okay, I feel like I grew enough. And then next year I'm really having my thinking cap. I haven't decided anything for next year.
That promo video, yo, I'm about to tear up just talking about it. That promo video, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Jack.
I have won so many people over with that promo video because I'm always talking about the lifestyle. I'm like, it's grown, it's sexy, it's sophisticated, it's consensual, you know what I mean? And it's not what people think. People think sex event, they think everybody's just going to be in there having a full out orgy, everybody butt ass naked.
Absolutely not.
And I'm like,
but not with me.
Not there. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, there are levels to this shit and you are showing it. I was at Thanksgiving showing the promo video to family members, like, yo, and it was like not a single person that I showed it to was like, nah, that ain't fine. Everybody's like, you got to invite me to the next one.
That's amazing, yes. Shout out to Jax. He did that video. So if you have not seen the art exhibit documentary, you can choose any of the links in my bio or on my website, thesexualessentials.com. Go to the tab classes. Sign up for Patreon. The video is there along with lots of other things. So to get back to it, the art exhibit, the art exhibit definitely has a level of luxury that I really do want in my everyday life. And I think I'm getting there. But even when it comes to things that I like that are nasty and kinky, I do not like things that look cheap. Right. I don't like cheap or trashy porn. I don't like. So when people are like, why you don't like this? You haven't done it in a way that is like, this is my coochie. I need, like, it needs to be in a great place. You know what I'm saying? So like energy and vibes is a really big thing for me. And I feel like also like when we did the art exhibit, we stayed at the same house, which was really another level of
everything from behind the scenes to the actual show was fucking amazing.
I feel like the details, So ironically, I have been thinking about like, what am I going to do this year that's new? Like, it's 2023 and I've done a little bit of everything. Yeah. But it's so crazy because I consider myself very very plain Jane.
Right. But I said that because it's compared to what you want to do. It's like, that ain't nothing. That's just, how I do.
I consider myself very plain Jane because I guess I always ease into situations like a step at a time. So it never feels like a large jump or like, oh, I'm doing something super crazy. So last year I did a BDSM photo shoot, themed photo shoot with Mistress Marley. But I think this year is the year that I want to actually start taking classes.
Oh.
On
oh my God.
I think that's something. I think I want to, I'm pretty busy, but I want to make some time to actually take on a couple of clients because who's the dom for the dom?
Right.
Right. And I'm pretty bossy when it comes to business. Like, and I feel like I need to use my talents for good.
So one thing I will say that I know you will agree with is, being a dominant or being, the dom in a particular situation isn't always about being bossy. It can be sensual, it could be, soft, it could be soft spoken. It's just having the plan, being the leader in that particular scenario, and you do well in that. So
and I consider that bossy.
Yeah. And I can see you definitely being the type of dom that doesn't even need to like raise your voice. You're gonna sweet talk a person all the way through, but you can't.
And see, I haven't thought on it long enough to know what type of like dom I would be, because it's like I want it to challenge me, but I also want it to feel natural.
I feel like your favorite line would be like, "You want to be here? You want to go home?"
I don't play none of that shit.
Like, I'm not raising my voice. We're not doing this back and forth thing.
That would be, you know what? That would be a great way for me to even and see, this is what I love about sex. Sex is how I practice everything I'm not good at. You know what I mean? Because like, I'm very goal oriented and I'm very disciplined. And people are like, how you do that with sex? Like, I be rewarding myself with orgasms and shit like that. Like, I want to try this, and if I do this right, then I'm gonna give myself 4 nuts tonight. Yes. Like, I dom myself already. You know what I mean? And so, like, even in your example of like, I'm not even gonna raise my voice. Of course, I'm like, I talk a lot. You know what I mean? And I'm still working on like not cutting people off, and even when I'm passionate about something, not going up in a level right? Like, I ain't yelling, I'm just passionate. Like,
that's my favorite thing to do.
And so I'm like, that would be a great way for me to implement it, and it's like still showing up for someone else.
Right.
I think that would be the hard part for me, because I care so much. So being a dom for someone is because like, now you have to win, because so I think I would be a dom for other doms, but I think from more of a business goal standpoint.
Well, I'm not gonna say nothing, but I'm ready to take your services whenever you're ready.
Add it to my calendar.
I have. That has been something that I have been thinking about, off and on for a while. I was like, besides Siphon, because she knows me and she knows what I like, I was like, if I really wanted to go to someone that, because I like sensuality being dominated in sensual ways. I'm not big on like, the sadistic side of things when it comes to me receiving. But I believe that if I were to be able to find the right person, like Dash is a good option too. But she doesn't necessarily do domination.
But her personality.
Yeah, the personality, the sensuality. I need you to rub it and kiss it after you hit me. Every single time. You know what I mean?
So let's take it back a second, because, we have so many new listeners and things like that. So we mentioned Siphon, who is Siphon the Unicorn. Hey, boo. Which is Sir Marvelous's submissive.
And life partner.
And life partner, right. So I want to talk about that. So first of all, for anybody that's not listening, let's describe what a dominant and submissive is. I think people know about 50 Shades of Grey, right? Yes. And they're like, oh yeah, whips and chains and all that shit. But let's take it back a second and describe what is BDSM, and explaining, dom sub.
So BDSM is a umbrella term. It's actually an acronym that is an umbrella term that covers so many different forms of ways that people can engage sexually. Now, when it comes to the DS side of of BDSM, meaning the dominant submissive thing, you can define that in many different ways. But normally, I like to look at the dominant as a person who's a leader or stepping into the pleaser role during a particular exchange, and the submissive is being the one trusting the dominant to take that leadership role. Again, you can define that in any way that you want. It doesn't always have to be, all the time. For example, me and Siphon, I'm usually predominantly dominant when it comes to sexual engagement, or when it comes to putting on a show or some type of performance or something like that. However, if I'm honest, she takes on the leadership role in many other aspects of our lives.
She manages and things like that.
She manages, and she's just way more organized than me. She's able to she likes to put things on pen and paper while I'm the dreamer. I'm like, we could just do this. And she's like, well, we're going to write this down and we're going to figure out how to do this correctly. But the reason that I tend to take lead when it comes to the sexual engagement part is because that's my area of expertise. That's where I shine at. That's where, I do the most research, and I'm always trying to learn something different to bring back. And I love to use my creativity to create the perfect scene where it's an experience, not just a sexual exchange where, penetration is taking place.
Right.
So it gives her a lot to look forward to. We've dove a little bit deeper into the psychological part of the DS relationship
So
with.
give me some examples, just so,
So,
because anybody that's listening, like
mhm,
sometimes just giving an example really helps. So what's an
okay.
example of a dominant and submissive exchange or activity that you guys do that,
Mm-hmm.
exerts that type of energy that you're talking
So,
about?
like for example, I have bondage furniture in my dungeon, right? So that's something that we may use. We may use different forms of bondage. I love using rope play with her. I love the idea of having her restrained and me, using my toys on her to like bring her to torturous forms of pleasure and things of that nature. But again, that was because I'm the one that's researching how to tie people up. I'm researching which toys are trending or is good or is going to get the job done that I want to do. One of the things that I love having her do is kneel before me. That's something that helps us get into that psychological space of like, you belong to me during this moment, and I want you to trust me with everything that I'm about to do to you. I love sensory deprivation. That's something that I'm big on, taking away a person's ability to see or hear so that they can be more present in the moment with their feelings. I love the idea of giving or providing pleasurable spankings with different forms of impact play, flogging, paddling, of course, using my hands. But again, this is something that I've been studying for a long time. So it's not what you do, is how you do it, right? So I use the word pleasurable spankings because I'm not wailing at her. I'm doing it, with the objective of like creating blood flow or sending good vibrations throughout her body and things of that nature. So these are types of plays where I'm taking the lead at, you know what I mean? So by definition, I'm stepping into my dominant role when I do that. There are times where she may top me, and there's been plenty of times where she's done that, and I love
Top
that.
you. So what does that mean for
That's mean when
someone
she's
that's
taking
listening?
the leadership role per se. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
person that is on the
Ooh, is she
receiving
good at
end.
it? I've never seen her
Oh,
in that way.
yes, yes. One of my favorite things to do is be tied up by her and have her just use me as a meat stick. Yeah.
Meat stick. We
Yes.
need to coin that. All right. Hashtag meat stick. Tap
Hashtag
into the
meat stick. You
conversation.
know what I mean? I always give an example of my favorite, because I'm a rope bunny. That's somebody who derives pleasure in the idea of being physically or mentally restrained by someone that they trust.
Mm.
And one of the ways that she does it outside of using rope is using her body. I always recommend for women, sit on the motherfucking face. And if he
Smother
die,
his ass. If
he
he
die.
died, he died.
You know what I mean? But, for me, as a rope bunny, I love the opportunity to be like restrained by her body and being used for her pleasure. So that's one way that she may top me while doing other things. I'm into sensual impact play, so soft spankings and things like that.
So I feel like there's a level of even and just for those that are listening that are like, okay, why would anybody want to do this?
Hmm.
And discovering your own kinks,
Right.
right? In the process, just even you saying face sitting, of course, some people don't even know why they're so obsessed with face sitting. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's the pheromones.
Right.
Because like see
Yeah.
your nasty ass. So when people are like, are you freaky or are you nasty? And I'm like, it's a little bit of both, because there are certain things that are super kinky, and then like there are some things that are literally just
Hmm.
freaky. And you know what I mean? But like a
Absolutely.
lot of kink things are really like a fixation of something else.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
Yes, it is.
it's coming up, and it transmutes into a different energy
Hmm.
through the BDSM. So like for example, the face sitting is face smothering rather.
Yes.
Face smothering. It's one thing, especially even if you like physical touch, being like totally surrounded by somebody else's like actual skin, their smell.
Yes.
And the like I said again, the pheromones of things like that.
Yeah, it gets to a biological level too. You know what I mean? Like you said, them pheromones. It's science. It's science behind. Just besides the physical pleasure that we get from engaging in these acts. So
It's so crazy because pheromones is a huge thing for me.
hmm.
And I've talked about this before, but I have a thing, like if I'm fresh out the shower, first of all, I'ma always make a way to masturbate. I'ma always show up late because baby, I had to masturbate.
Yes.
So if I masturbate and I'm like fresh out the shower, I won't wash my hands. Like,
Right.
and I'll put it like behind my ears
Yeah.
and like, so that way, like when you hug me, you're like,
Hmm. Yeah, and
I
even
know everybody in this room like, bitch, did I hug her today?
the power of smell. Oh my
It's
God.
so
I was just
crazy.
talking to a friend about that the other day. I was like, even if you're not talking about pheromones per se on the scientific level, if the power of smelling good,
Cologne. Oh my God. Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
a friend of mine told me that she had somewhat of a sneaky link, and she had already had the room set up, and he was like, just come in, hang out, I'll be there after my meeting or whatever. And then she got there, and he was just hanging out there, and I'm like, did he take a fresh shower? Because she was debriefing the scene and why it wasn't everything that she wanted it to be. And when I say scene, they were just having sex, but I refer to things as scene. But she was debriefing things and why it wasn't everything that she could have wanted it to be, and it started from his initial presentation. And I was like, well, when you got there, was he fresh out the shower, beard oil
all
on,
the
little spray
all
or
the
something? You know what I'm saying?
senses.
And I'm like, she's like, nah, he's just sitting there drinking a beer. And I'm
Beer
like,
got a nasty smell in the breath.
I'm like, yeah, you got to do a little better than that. Be fresher.
I think that I think that the senses and sensory deprivation is probably one of the easiest, kinks to explore. And like you guys, when we say kinks and are you kinky, we're talking about rope play. We're talking about tying hand, like even if it's just putting a blindfold on someone, you guys, those are versions of kink.
Absolutely.
And so smell and all those types of things. So anyways, I feel like when you have sensory deprivation, you don't understand how easy and important it is if you also aren't tapping into those senses in a positive way.
Right.
So if you are about to have sex with someone or you're setting the mood, period, is there something there that they can taste outside of you and their pussy? Like a strawberry or, or even champagne on your lips or just something that's igniting all the things at once. What does it smell like? So is there a candle that's being lit or do it still smell like, you know what I'm saying, like food from Sunday, like in your, you know what I'm saying? Like what does it smell like in there? And then like, what do the sheets feel like? Like that's why people have silk sheets. They're not being extra, you guys.
It feels
like
good.
They do feel good. I think that so many times people are worried about being extra, and I'm not saying you have to do all the things every single time.
I'm gonna tell you to do all the things not every single time.
But it looks different because like even with a quickie, you can make these things happen because with a quickie, it's because I'm fresh out the shower, smelling good, and you see me eating a piece of fruit that you want to dig in this shit real quick.
Absolutely.
Right? So you can do everything and still like so look, I'm learning how to do my makeup, right? Did you know?
What's that?
That them no makeup looks that these girls be wearing, they be wearing everything.
They be wearing everything.
They be wearing everything. That shit's wild to me. Whole another topic for another day. But I'm like, okay, they have on like concealer. They contort their face, but it's so light that it looks like a natural, Gabrielle
like
Union face.
Trying,
not even putting any makeup on. So I'm like, okay, when it comes to sex, you can do that too. You can have all of the senses involved and it still not be a 45-minute session because people are always gonna be like, well, you don't always have time for that all the time, and I get it, but you can be more conscious, which is, and you know what, this is why I really like the thigh high socks. The thigh high socks, which y'all can find on the website, thesexualcentrals.com. Get that. All the thigh highs, they're my favorite because they're warm and comfy because, first of all, women love comfortable things, right? But they sexy as fuck.
Yes,
like,
they are.
You walking around with your pants, with booty cheeks out and thigh highs all the way up, and they, and
you give them something to peel off of you.
You give them something to peel off. It's something to look at visually. Like, I get it. You don't want to wear lingerie all the time, but hitting the five senses goes so much farther than people think. But on the other end, taking away one of those senses or adding it in another way, like blindfolding someone. So now all your other senses are heightened, or putting headphones on someone while you suck their dick, but now they may be listening to their favorite song on replay or listening to your voice tell them how amazing they are and how proud, things like that, like all these different things. And so you feel pleasure in more than one way, especially like if your love language is words of affirmation, right? So now you're hearing words of affirmation while you getting your dick sucked. I mean, it sounds like a good day to me.
Yes.
I mean,
or she might just be telling you a bunch of things while she's sucking your dick. That's also works too.
Yes.
So.
I think that people are nervous. I think that people get really nervous, and I always tell them like there's a way you can do it to be comfortable. So if you don't want to look somebody dead in their face, even if it's somebody you've been fucking for a while, which we should get more comfortable with these things. But, you can record something and then just have them play it in their ear. And that's That's super fire.
Yeah, be
Like,
more intentional, you know, even when it comes to having quickies and things of that nature. Like, I hate the idea of using the excuse that because this is a quickie, it can't be intentional. You know, you've been in this same body for X amount of years. I'm assuming that whoever's listening to this advice is an adult, right? So you've been in your body for X amount of times. You know quickies are going to take place. Have some things, have some go-to things that you like to do. Have some ideas of things that you know that are important when engaging with, you know, your partner. You know, like you said, making sure all of her other senses are being engaged. Make sure her mental stimulation is is happening. You know, if you know that you don't have time all the time, maybe throughout the week you're sending sexy texts. Maybe you're sending, like, I like to send drippy tips to Siphon.
not drippy tips.
She loves when I make videos when I'm jerking off and come. So it's like, fuck it, you know what I mean? Like, send that to her, you know what I mean? Send her the sexy voice note.
If she says she wants to, y'all, please don't be getting blocked on our behalf. Please don't get blocked on our behalf because you didn't send some ashy dick without her consent.
No, and make sure it's not ashy. Make sure it's greased up.
Hey, you guys. Hope you're enjoying the show. I just had to stop by and let you know that if you have not ordered your thigh-high socks from Sexual Essentials, you're behind. I know how it feels to buy lingerie and you say, ooh, I'm going to be real sexy and put it on, and it's sitting in the back of your drawer collecting dust. Let me tell you, the thigh-high socks are just so convenient. They're super sexy and they're actually comfortable. So instead of feeling like you have to make that large leap into lingerie, try the thigh-high socks. Your partner gets to see you looking sexy as well as yourself, and they're super comfortable. Don't forget to use our code NJASP for 15% off. Tell your friends and make sure that you get your favorite color before they're gone. All right, now back to the show.
But yeah, like,
I want us to talk about something though.
Sure. Yes.
Before we get too far into it. Yes. So speaking of kinks and how they derive from our traumas and things like that.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Not all of them at all. This is a specific example. So we were touched on earlier how some of our kinks are derived from or built off of something that we may have experienced. Maybe that was bad in the past. And we found a way to transmute and change that energy into something that's good, right? I know for me, that's how a lot of my kinks ended up showing up, right? And so you had a situation. You were on Angela Yee's podcast.
Yes.
And you were saying that you were a cuck.
Yes.
And that's C-U-C-K. And the world went crazy. The world went crazy. I remember you even called and you were like, you know, yo, Samia, what the hell do I do? Like, what do I do with this? And so basically, I don't know, maybe we'll run the clip. Maybe I'll explain it. Who knows? But you were talking about how you enjoyed watching Siphon, your life partner, get fucked by other guys.
Yes, I do.
And people were going crazy. They was like, you gay, you this, you... And I don't think you're gay. I mean, if you were gay, you would just be sucking dick. But you're not sucking no dick. All right, so you ain't gay. So there we go. But let's talk about that because I don't think everybody always knows how that ended up even becoming a thing for you. So we need the short version.
Oh, the short version. I was in a previous relationship. So this was kind of like built off of an experience, of course. I was in a previous relationship where I was engaged. I had fucked up that relationship, was playing a make up to break up game. I broke up with her, and it was a long break. It was the longest break we had at that time. And she actually started dating somebody that I wasn't aware of at that time. And then months later, we got back together. I found out about a dude that she was dating because my dumb ass decided to go through her phone.
You fine.
It was so much debauchery. Like, it was amazing. I was turned on by it. It was like literally like this man wanted her. Like, and I seen the passion in what he, you know, how much he wanted it, to the point where I was taking her for granted because I had been with her for so long. So everything about her was sexy.
So you saw her in a new light.
Yeah, I saw her in a new light. You know, it was the videos, the texts, you know.
He was putting that A1 energy.
He was putting that A1 energy. He was fucking the shit out of her or whatever. And I got mad. I stormed out, came back the next day, and something about it just triggered me to the point where I wanted to reenact everything that I read in those messages with her. I made her call me his name during that experience.
That's
and prior to that, we were already using sex toys for like double penetration and stuff like that. So we were very much into that, and we were also, into the idea of like doing threesomes in a fantasy way. But now we had a name to attach to that actual fantasy, so that played out for a while. But it was something that I took with me even after that relationship was over. And
you said it was some of the best sex ever when you did it. Like it was.
Yeah, it was intense.
Look here.
It's like a lot. You got to understand that the brain is the biggest sexual organ that we have. When that mind is stimulated, when it's going, when it's riled up, it can really add to the physical experience that you have. And that's what people take for granted. They always think it's about what toy do I buy, what angle, what position, what. No, like how about you start by
play with your imagination.
Play with your imagination, and then have that person join in with you on that. So fast forward many years later, I'm still very much into that. Plus, I love the idea of letting a woman feel free when she's with me. One of the hardest things for a woman to do in this world is be sexual, is to be able to be liberated sexually. You know what I mean? So the idea that I'm that man that, listen, you could tell me anything, you know what I'm saying, outside of things that don't keep us safe and that are not, consensual and stuff like that. But you can tell me your wildest fantasies, and I'm going to do my best to make that shit happen. You know what I mean? So I really love the idea of watching her when it's good. I don't like when she's having sex with somebody that's whack. We've been to parties and dudes ain't put in no work. I'm like, yo, can you just get out of here?
Girl looking back. Like, no. I really fucking love that. And I don't think that, I think that hearing it may sound crazy, but there are ways that we've all done certain things before. So for example, I had broke up with somebody and I was having a really hard time. And I was like, I'm not fucking it. Yeah, I'm not giving this nigga no more pussy. And I had somebody who was a fuck buddy, and he was strictly for like things I wanted to try, and nastiness, I guess. And I was like, yeah, like, I mean, you could fuck if I could say his name instead. And he was with it.
Yeah.
And so it was so trifling. It was so
it was a different type of good, wasn't it?
But it was a different type of good. Yeah. And even though, like, I'm not saying that that's for everything or everybody, but for the man out there that's like, he feels awkward because he's like, I'm kind of not against that. Like, there are times and places for everything. You know what I mean? Like, it don't have to be in your main relationship or even in your forever relationship, but there's like that did help me. I know that sounds crazy. Like, bitch, just have some discipline. Well, I still want to have sex. So I want, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's even the healthiest thing, but it's still, you'd be surprised what people are into. And even like, I feel like even with my fantasy with like two guys, I feel like I want the guy to interview the other guy. I want to know that you are invested in my pleasure. Yeah, like the only way you're allowed to be here.
You're more.
Oh, you already know. Like, oh man, I'm gonna get a script. That's what I mean. I'm gonna get a script writer, and I'm like, hey, write this shit out for me, so everybody can know their lines.
And whoever's interested in doing that, they should be watching this episode. They should be watching everything that you've been talking about, because you don't sugarcoat this shit. You've been letting them know how you want it done. Like, literally, the cheat code is there. Just pay attention. You know what I mean?
We've talked about so many things, so many things. I know y'all like, where'd you talk about these things? Please make sure that you join our Patreon. There are almost 300 learning videos there. Okay, the links will be below. But speaking of classes, I definitely want to sign up, and I think that we need to talk about that. Like me going through I feel like I'm kind of special now, so I kind of want to go through my training like by myself.
Yes.
And I'm like, I love your schedule. Tell Siphon I'm gonna call to get on your schedule, but. I think I definitely want to do that because I think I want to help other doms reach some of their goals. Right. I really it's been a lot of people that's reached out and been like, hey, following the format that you set up has helped their business. And sometimes a lot of people reach out because they're like, somebody, you've done this before. I've been doing this for 5 years. Yes. And so getting on in different ways. I started off with classes, then I moved online, and then, we have events and things like that. So I want to help other, dominant people, whether that be entrepreneurs. I don't know. We got to talk this out. But like other entrepreneurs or other dominants, I think I want to try like being a dom.
Teach them. Yeah,
yes, I think I want to do that to help them like reach their goals.
So I am going to be releasing some courses very soon. That's an announcement that I've been keeping a little bit of a secret of mine.
And do that. Keep
But
it.
I've been low key telling everybody at the same time.
I ain't posted it, but I told everybody.
You good at keeping a secret?
I ain't gonna tell nobody else.
Yeah, but I'm definitely going to be releasing courses. But honestly, and I'm not just saying this because I love you to death, but I believe that my courses should only be followed up after you've watched everything that you have been putting out, because you speak more about mindset, and that's what I love about you. Everybody thinks that it's about, again, I can teach you how to use toys and how to do all of these things, but if you don't understand the mindset of arousal and getting into that mental part of it before you could even think about laying hands on somebody, then you're not going to make it anywhere, because you can have the best toys, you can have everything, but if she's not comfortable, if she's not there, or if he's not there, if he's not comfortable, then you're not going to get anywhere. And I love what you do with explaining the importance of stimulating a person mentally first, and then actually, and that mental stimulation involves communicating with things that you're interested in. So that's the first step. And then the second thing, you could come to me. I'm going to be teaching people how to do fire. I'm be teaching people how to whoop ass, how to tie people up. You know what I mean? How to set the scene, so forth. So definitely we could do some one-on-one stuff.
I'm super excited.
You're going to be giving fire hand jobs. And I mean that
quite
literally.
Right? Now, I ain't going to lie to you. If y'all, I got to find a name. They be like, Madam this. I don't know what my name going to be yet. We're going to come back with it.
Something dope.
Something sexy. But whatever it is, I'm such a tease. I doubt that I would touch any private part. I feel like a child. Private parts. I ain't touching nobody private part, because I don't have a desire to. I think that I love. I know that the world considers me a sex worker, and I'm okay with that. Like I wear that with a badge of honor. But when it comes to that sexual acts, I feel like people should do the things with the people that they want to. And I'm like, if I don't genuinely want to touch your body, you shouldn't want me to.
Oh, you're gonna make the most money.
I'll do so many things that are so close, and things that'll make you feel a certain way, and even make the dick jump and make the dick without even putting hands on it. I mean,
that's the majority of dominatrix. They don't even engage this at all. You know what I mean? So you gonna
So I'm playing with it mentally. I want to help people reach their goals in a sexual way, and I know that I've used me going after my goals as a huge part of my BDSM journey and things like that. Every time I've looked to hire a sex worker, it was to fulfill something else in me, or it was either a reward for something, a major thing that I had did. Like, I didn't even get a massage after the art exhibit, so I need to stack up on these rewards.
And you were in a room. You see, we're gonna run it back next time, because you had a house full of people that would have been willing to massage your ass.
I know. I was so busy. Hey, you guys, it's your host, Samia. If you're enjoying the topics over here, honestly, I think you'd love the topics over on my learning platform. I have some private interviews over there with some amazing guests. I've interviewed Mr. Marcus, yes, that's the porn star, Passion Jones, who brought on her husband and her boyfriend, and even had some girls' night conversations with Medina from Cocktails, as well as Mila from Good Moms Bad Choices. That conversation was amazing. We did some examples of our dirty talk, and let's just say you need to check it out. Don't just take my word for it. Make sure that you click the link below and sign up today. There are over 250 workshops, classes, interviews, and so much more. All right, now back to the show. But anyways, do you have any advice that you would like to leave us with today for the listeners?
Absolutely. Simple as it may seem, keep an open mind, understand that a lot of the things that we accept as the norm or what we're supposed to be doing is rules that were put in place by people that aren't you. You know what I mean? A lot of times, people say this is the way it's supposed to be done, and I'm like, says who? You know what I mean? If I come and I tell you it's not a good idea to use vibrators, or you shouldn't be using vibrators, would you gonna take my advice? Absolutely not. You're gonna still play with your toys, because I don't have that control over you, and you should never give that type of control to anybody, to tell you what you can and can't do. So when you take that advice, when you really think about it, keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. There's so much more to pleasure than the norm, penetration, just licking pussy, explore things, read some things, invest in your education when it comes to pleasure. That's something that's also very, very important, that we invest in other aspects of our lives of things that are important to us, but when it comes to pleasure, we think it's supposed to be something that is natural. Good sex is not as natural as you think. It takes time, intention, and work. That's what I would say,
Absolutely. And to add to that, I think outside of having an open mind, stop being judgmental. What's not for you is totally okay. You could love that for somebody else. And also, you have no idea how they got to that point and why it is that they like what they like. And you never know what you may like in the future.
Absolutely.
You never know. There are so many things
Oh,
that
yeah.
I know probably before. You probably like, bitch, I wish the bitch would call me somebody else's name. And then like, but in a setting where you were able to set the parameters of how you wanted it to be, you were able to get it in a way that was safe for you.
Right.
And just keep it as a fantasy. You know what I mean? So I really love that for you. And I thank you so much for coming on. To wrap up, I am going to leave you all with a spiritual tip of the day. The spiritual tip of the day is, I think that a lot of people are hearing like, oh, people are like witchy people and, you know, my spirit and higher power and all this other shit. And we have no idea what they're talking about. And so I just want this segment to be about us learning about different spiritual things that can be implemented into your life that you either know about, don't know about, or whatever. So today's spiritual tip of the day is to try acupuncture. Acupuncture is so amazing. And ironically, it is like therapy for your body. So I highly suggest men try it because a lot of men do not cry a lot enough. And even when you first do, and also it doesn't hurt. Like there might be one or two pinches that hurt like a little bit, but it doesn't hurt. They don't stick the needles all the way in you. But it's so much healing properties in it. Like even if like you have knee pain, you can go in there and they'll revive the nerve endings in that area with the needles or, you know, whatever professional words people supposed to say. I just went, and so I'm giving y'all the nigga version of what had happened. Yeah. And when they first stuck the needles in, like I immediately was crying. I wasn't crying like, you know, like this,
Not
but
from pain, but like
my
energy
body
release.
was releasing all the tears. And so I was just like, damn. And like I felt so amazing, so light. And yes, I still had the same problems, but I had a different perspective and I was balanced. So acupuncture does a really good job of mentally balancing you and also giving your body a release when it needs to release certain things. So you go to therapy to release your mind and to get therapy for your thoughts and your actions. But acupuncture, as well as BDSM, can be a physical outlet for your body. You have to remember that the body keeps score. And so you have to get rid of the things that
don't serve you
and that you need to let out. And so adding acupuncture to my personal like healing journey was really amazing for me.
We're on the same frequency because I just started my research on acupuncture.
Acupuncture is, and I can't even say it right. You know what I'm talking about when they stick you with the needles. It's so amazing. And so I've been going, I think, for a little over a year now. And I really love when I found it. I feel like when you find certain things, it comes up at the right time in your life. When I first started therapy, I mean, I could have used acupuncture and it could have helped. But I think that finding it when I found it, I knew how to implement it the correct ways, and it blended with where my mindset was at that time. But like I said, y'all, try anything at least 3 times to figure out if you really like it. But the thing is, I've never heard anybody regret going.
No.
You know, it's just like a workout. I mean, you may be like, damn, this hurt or crazy, but you're not, it's going to feel good afterwards, and you're not really mad.
You can't go wrong with self-care, man.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with self-care. So try acupuncture. That is my spiritual tip of the day. I hope you guys are writing these down. They will happen every episode for things to try because there are a lot of different avenues of healing. And just like we mentioned at the adult tip of the day, all healing is not found in church.
Yes.
And you might find an acupuncturist at church, but acupuncture is not a thing they talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like that's in the Bible. Like, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like a demon or, you know, type thing to it. It's just a different spiritual way of healing yourself. And so I hope that you guys are open to those things. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and our guests. So could you please let the folks know where they can find you and see more from you?
So I always tell people that I have 2 pages on Instagram because Instagram has a way of hating. They be deleting. So please follow both of them. One of them is Sir Marvelous Kinks. Kinks is spelled Kinks. And the other page is just simply Sir Marvelous. Actually, it's just Sir Marvelous. So,
look here, over here lying. Look here, if you don't remember all that, don't worry about it. Please check all the links below. We will tag him, the website. Please make sure that you subscribe to Patreon with the link in any of our bios or on my website, thesexualessentials.com. Sir Marvelous has been a guest on there more than once. He actually came on and taught a joint class with me on foreplay. It was a beginner's class to foreplay and really spicing it up in a different type of way. There are almost 300 classes on there. And so many learning tools. Like I said, I've been doing this for 5 years. So there is a lot of stuff, a lot of content on there. So make sure that you guys subscribe to that and tell a friend to tell a friend about the show. And we will see you next week.